everyone, and welcome to class. I am Gina from Gina K Designs, and it's great to see all of you here joining us from all around the world. This is not our normal time that we go live, but today's presentation is a little bit special because I am teaching a class that I taught at the She Loves Color event here in Wisconsin just a few weeks ago. And this class is for all of the people that took my in-person class, all of the people that bought the take-home kit and are looking for a little bit of extra instruction, and then also for all of my friends that are Gina K Designs friends who maybe have some of these products already and you'd like to get some more card ideas. So it is great to see all of you here. I'm going to take a moment before we start class just to introduce my husband, Tom. Hey, Tom.
Hello, everybody.
How are you today?
Doing well. This feels different, huh?
I know, it's a Wednesday. Well, Tom is going to help me today by trying to field any of your questions. So, Tom, it would be good if they put the word question first, right?
Yes.
That's really helpful. And we are going to only address questions regarding today's class. So if you've got stock questions or other questions, try to contact customer service for those issues. And today we're going to focus on this class. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Okay. All right. So for those of you that joined us at the class, you know everything that was in the kit, and so do our take-home people. But I wanted to show everybody what was in the kit. So this is the kit, and it came with a little full-color instruction sheet. And then inside are 5 mini ink cubes. And the colors, for those of you who didn't get the kit and would like to play along, or maybe these are interesting to you, are tomato soup, honey mustard, fresh asparagus, plum punch, and black onyx. Then we put a little card in here that talks about our website and where to find me on YouTube. Then we had a little special pack of gold metallic pearls. Now, for those of you that love our metallic pearls, we do have these gold metallic pearls in a mix on our website with silver and black. So if you're looking for the gold ones, you can pick up the mix. Then there were 4 blending brushes, 3 large ones and 1 small one. And these are for the 4 colors. Here, let me grab this over here. These were for the 4 colors of ink, and then the small one was for the fresh asparagus, and the black one is for stamping. Then inside you had all of the cardstock pre-cut and ready for the 3 cards we're going to make. You have the All About You mini stamp set. And then you have 3 stencils in here. You have our our Harvest Flourish. I always think of autumn when I think of harvest. Harvest Flourish, Fizzy, and then our bold Bouquet. So these are the 3 stencils we're going to be using. And then there were 3 card bases to correspond with the 3 cards that we're going to make today. So I'm going to put all of this back in the box because I have my own versions of all of this and I don't have to ruin this. I can give this back to our warehouse team to put back into stock. Okay. And then I'm going to show you first the cards that we're going to make today. So I'm going to zoom in just a little bit so you can get a peek at them. Okay, so the first card is going to teach just basic stenciling. So this is the card that we're going to make with our basic stenciling. Then the second card we're going to make shows double stenciling. And you can see in this card how you've got the flower here that's in this same card, but it's also got a pattern in it. So we're going to do double stenciling. And then the third one, we're doing double stenciling, but we are also just isolating one of the images from that full stencil. So you can see on this stencil, this is the stencil here, the different ways that we used it. The first way that we used it was in this position. Then the second way that we used it was in this position here. Was that the position? No, it was more like this. And then we masked off part of the stencil. And then the final one, we only used this image here, and we just moved it all around as we went. So these are our beautiful autumn inspired floral cards that we're going to make today. Now, one thing that I taught in the class was we had a lot of new crafters, new card makers, and we might have some out there right now. So I am going to grab these brushes because I'm going to show you how to prep the brushes. So one thing is when I buy new brushes, I always just get a pair of scissors because they're not that, my scissors aren't that sharp, but they're not super easy to open that bag. So let's just get the brushes out of here. I don't know that I'll need all of them, but I can always use new brushes. Oh my gosh. Should have done this beforehand, but then you wouldn't be able to see me struggle, and that's part of the fun of teaching a class live is the struggle. Okay, and then this last one is the little one. And I definitely wanted you all who took the class to be able to see the difference in how the small brushes feel versus the large brushes. Now, one question that I get a lot is, can you use blending brushes, big blending brushes with mini ink cubes? You know, our regular size ink pads are fairly big, and it's very easy to have them laying down and to easily ink up the brushes. But with ink cubes, you can do something similar. For example, let's ink up the Plum Punch. What I like to do is I like to actually, instead of doing this onto an ink cube, I like to hold the brush this way and do the ink cube over the brush like this. It helps to get more ink onto the brush, and you can kind of go across the dome of the brush easier than just kind of doing this, because then you're just going to get it in one tiny little spot. So yeah, the kit in this video is not available for purchase. However, all of the products are available in our store. And if anything is out of stock, all you have to do is get your name on the wait list. And as soon as it comes back in stock, we will send you a notification. When I teach classes, I do exclusive kits for those classes. And some people are saying, oh, I wish I would have known. However, I do want you to know that I always post any classes that I'm going to teach in our Facebook group. And also, I always talk about them on my YouTube channel. So make sure if you're new here that you join our Facebook group. It's called Gina K Designs and Stamp TV Friends. Or, you know, subscribe to my YouTube channel so you don't miss anything. So I'm going to ink this one up with honey mustard and get it going. Okay, so that's a good start for that brush. And then the last one is the tomato soup. So you want to ink up that brush to get it started. This is the last big one. Let me just get that ink on there. And you can re-ink ink cubes too. So if you are new and, you know what? I think fresh asparagus is the color in there, but let me check. Let me check. It is. It's not jelly bean. Let me get my fresh asparagus. Okay. Yeah, fresh asparagus. So there we go on that little brush. Okay, so now we have our blending brushes prepped and ready to go. That doesn't mean we're not going to ink them up again, because we certainly are, but we just got them started. Now, I'm going to get a little piece of cardstock here to work on, and we are going to start with one of the pieces of white cardstock. Now, what I recommend is the card we're going to start with. Let's do that first. This is the card we're going to start with. So I recommend taking a little bit of adhesive. If you don't have some sort of stencil mat, get a little piece of adhesive and just tape that down onto a piece of paper so it doesn't wiggle around. If you have a stencil mat or you have some kind of grip mat, you can certainly use that. But if you don't, this is just a great way to keep it in place. And then I'm going to start by putting this stencil. Let's see here. So there's a right side and a wrong side to these stencils. So you want to find where the words are. I don't know if you can see that there, but let's find where the words are because that is going to be the right spot. So you can see I'm putting it up in this corner here. I want to get this whole flower in, and then this one is going to be cut off to the side. Then in the recommended class supplies, it did say some sort of tape or some sort of, you know, it could be painter's tape, it could be masking tape. I'm using Thermoweb's Pixie tape. I like it a lot because it's low tack and it doesn't tear your project, but we aren't really putting this on the project. So here we go. Now I have that tape down and now we are ready to go. Now in the instructions, I have a lot of Post-it notes cut up to mask off certain areas. I'm telling you right now that if you want it to be absolutely perfect where there's no bleed, you see this little bit of bleed that I have here, then go through all of the instructions in that sheet and make masks for everything. But today I'm going full rogue here and I am just using it the way it is, okay? I am going to use one little piece of masking paper, which I'll show you in a little bit on one of the cards, but otherwise I'm just going kind of rogue like this. I do recommend having some Post-it notes, but we'll get into that a little bit later. So to start, we're going to use honey mustard just on the flowers. So again, I am going to ink up. See, now that my brush is all primed, I can get ink on there like that. Now, one thing I want to tell you about blending and blending brushes, if you're new to this, if you hold the blending brush like this, you're not going to get much ink. It's going to be super light. You want to put your finger on the head of the brush. And if you want dark color, I want you to push on the head of the brush. See how that neck of the brush is flexible? I want you to push down a little bit when you're inking. Don't let the brush spring back. If you want a medium color, not like real heavy, then just hold your finger on there and don't let the brush spring back, but don't put pressure forward. And if you want a super light touch, take your finger off the head of the brush. That's how you get the 3 different light, mediums, and deep, vibrant color. So we're going to actually put a little bit of pressure on this brush, more in the center, and then we're going to lighten up as we get toward the end of the petals. So I'm going to start here in the center, but then as I get near the end, I'm going to take my finger off, and I'm going to allow that to just dust the edge of the petals. That's how you get a lot of shading in there. So I can go back into the center, and then I can release that grip a little bit. Okay. Now I'm also going to add just a little bit of color in this bud. So I am going to re-ink. A little bit of color in here. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go heavy at the bottom of these petals and then work my way up a little bit lighter. Now, for those of you that are watching this for the very first time and you're thinking, okay, I'm not keeping up. This class isn't meant to keep up as you go. It's meant for you to watch and then go back and watch the replay with all of your tools and use the pause button. So, you know, after I show you this, you can pause here and then you can do this part and then you can continue on for the next step. But to actually try to keep up with a class like this online, it's not always easy. And that's the beauty of online classes because they never go away. This will live here on my YouTube channel. All right, now we're going to add that second color, the tomato soup, to make it look more orangey. So I'm going to grab my tomato soup ink cube and I'm going to ink this up with a little more tomato soup, and I'm going to go right in the center with a little bit of a heavy hand.
And the name of the stencil?
This stencil, where did it go? It is called Bold Bouquet. And then I'm also, see, I just put it in the center there. And now I'm also going to do just this part down here and just let the bristles trickle over that. So heavy in here And see, the bristles are just trickling over that. And I'm going to add a little bit onto that bud. Okay. So now I have all of those flowers done the way I want. Now we're going to come in with the fresh asparagus, and we're going to add some greenery to all of the areas that are left behind. Now I added in my sample here, this is actually a flower petal, but I added a little bit of green in here because I felt like it needed a little bit of green down there. And you can certainly do the same. So I'm going to start down here and just add a little bit of green in here. In here. Get a little more ink. And you can see I'm not starting right on, like I'm not starting right in the middle. I'm starting on the plastic and then kind of doing a circular motion and working my way in. That will prevent blotchiness. You see that? It just prevents that from being blotchy. Okay, so we'll work our way up into here. And what's nice about these small brushes is you can just do a little scrubbing motion and just hit into the areas that you want. Same with this here, right in there. Now, it's okay that I got a little bit on here. In fact, I can take my yellow brush and I can kind of blend that in there so that it doesn't look too bad. I kind of like the mix and when things kind of mix together. But again, if you want it to be absolutely perfect, you can use all the Post-it notes that are in the written instructions to kind of make sure that everything is blocked off so you don't mix any colors. Okay, so now we're going to take this off because this is done. And look at how beautiful that looks. Even though certain parts kind of faded into each other, it's still really beautiful. All right, now I'm going to put this aside. We're going to have to clean this stencil. But the next step is to add our greeting. So I'm using the Misty stamping tool. And in class, we had 40 Misties, more than that, for all the students. And everybody got to try a Misty stamping tool to add their greetings. The Misty is a great way to add your greetings. But if you don't have a Misty, you'll just need an acrylic block. So I am going to, let's see. You Are Such a Wonderful Person is the one that I used. This is my old set. I'm not opening a new set when I have it already. But You Are Such a Wonderful Person. And we're just going to pop it right here, right over stuff. It's totally fine to stamp over stuff. Okay. You just position it where it looks straight, and you can pick it up with the door of the Misty. And now I'm going to use my black ink cube to ink up this greeting, and I'm going to stamp it more than once. Now, if your stamp is new, it may need you to prep it a little bit by rubbing your finger over it to get any manufacturer's residue off. If it's still not stamping well, stamp it a few times with ink before you actually do it on your project for the first time. The reason why I like the Misty is I like to be able to stamp it a couple of times to get it nice and dark and solid. So that's why I like to use a stamp pressure tool like this, or a stamping platform like this. Okay, so now we have our greeting on there. And I am going to take that off and put it back on my stamp sheet, my very well-loved beat-up set. I've used this set for years. It's one of my favorites. And then we are going to put this onto our black piece that's in your kit. And for those of you that have been with me a long time, these are the same measurements as our Master Layouts 2 die set. All of these are. So the white pieces are 3.5 inches by 4 3/4. The black panels measure 3 5/8 of an inch by 4 7/8. And the card bases are just a half sheet of cardstock folded in half, or A2. And so the card base color is going to be tomato soup. And we're going to put that on here. like that. Now I'll put embellishments on this first one, but then I'm not going to embellish the rest of them. I'll just show you where the embellishments were put in my samples, just to save a little bit of time, because this is a fairly long class today. So I like to use glue to put my embellishments on. And this is the Gina K Designs Connect glue. And I put it in our fine tip bottles. This way I can do very small precision dots. These don't clog, but you do have to do things to make sure that they don't clog, which I'll tell you about in a second. But I'm going to put a dot here, a dot here, and a dot here. I like to do embellishments in 3s or 5s. I like the uneven numbers. When you're done using this, just wipe off the tip, tap it down a few times, and burp the bottle to make sure that any glue that's stuck up in this metal part kind of sucks back down into the bottle. And then always keep your little rubber cap on it, and it shouldn't clog. You shouldn't have any problem at all. I've been using the same ones since I got them, and they're very, very easy to take care of. Now, I also like to use a jewel picker. If you don't have a jewel picker, you can certainly use tweezers or something like that. And I like to kind of spill out my gems. Got a copper one in there and a sequin. Okay, so I'm going to use the smallest ones here. And if I can turn it over. You know what? Here's 2 that are turned over. So when using a jewel picker, you want to go straight down on the gem to pick it up. If you try to do it sideways, it won't really pick up as well. Straight down seems to pick them up the best. And I was talking a little bit, so that glue had a chance to set a little, and that really helps the gem release from your jewel picker. So I use 2 small ones, and then I'm going to use 1 medium one. There's 3 sizes in the bag. There we go. Okay. And so that's just a little bit of embellishment there to make that card have a little sparkle. Okay. And that's the first card. Super easy peasy. And if you're new to card making, which I know a lot of you out there watching this are new to card making, this one is the easiest one to do. It shouldn't be difficult. And you're going to find out too that when you use the Gina K Designs ink, they have a smoothing agent in them. So even if it looks a little bit blotchy when you first do it, it has a way of smoothing itself out, and it looks really pretty after it's had a chance to dry and lighten up a little bit. Also, I tried to choose, I know that the She Loves Color event was predominantly scrapbookers. So I tried to choose a stencil that was a big, large design that can translate easily into scrapbook pages. So try adding some of this floral cluster. Remember, you can flip it over and get the opposite angle by doing it from the other side. Try using this design in your scrapbook pages too. It would be a beautiful background for some of your pages. And what's fun about using inks and stencils is you can colorize it any way that you want. So you don't have to go out and find that perfect piece of pattern paper that matches the clothing in the photos or the florals in the photos. You can use ink and make it an exact match. So it's really fun to use these products in your scrapbook pages as well. Okay, so I'm going to put this one aside because this one's done. And now I'm going to clean my stencil because we're going to go to round 2 here. Card number 2. When I clean them, I either use my Tidy Towel, which is a great way to clean them because you can just wipe that. It's a lint-free cloth. I love using that. When you do clean them, don't forget to dry the front, but also turn it over and dry the back because water will seep in there underneath. And if your stencil's wet, it'll kind of ruin your cardstock. Okay, so card 2, we're going to do the double stencil technique using the Fizzy stencil. And that's this one. Let me grab it here. That's this one along with this one. Okay. Our little glue bottles are called Gina K Designs Fine Tip Bottles, and they are on our website. They should be hovering around with glue. They should be in the glue category.
Quick question on your glue. How does
Yes.
it hold up in cold weather shipping?
No problem at all. I haven't had any problem with anything falling apart with either our glue or our adhesive. I used to with some other products that I used, and that's really important. And also, we have a freeze thaw agent in our glue. So when we ship the glue itself, I think maybe that's what you were talking about. We have a freeze thaw agent in the glue that will allow the glue to be shipped anywhere. We could ship it to the Arctic Circle and it'll be fine. Okay, so the second card we're going to make today is this one here, and you can see that we've turned that cardstock from that vertical view to a horizontal view. So I'm once again going to put a little bit of tape on the back here and just press that down. And then looking at the card, you can see instead of having it this way like we did for the first card, we're going to turn it this way. So I'm going to place that here where I have most of this big flower and then this bud, and then I've got maybe about 3/4 of an inch left over on the side there. Okay. And once again, I'm going to tape my stencil down with some pixie tape. You can use any tape that you want. Now, this is our little bugger here. We do not want him in the scene. So this is where a Post-it note will come in handy. I am going to Post-it note him off right there, like that. But you can see I still have a little bit up here, and I still have some here. So in our class, we used this. This is called Masking Magic, and this comes in a bunch of different sizes. We've got 1/8 inch, we've got 1/4 inch, and we've got 1/2 inch. Now, the 1/8 inch is a really good size. They all three, I just have to grab one over here. All three come in the same package, so you have all the different sizes. But in the class, I gave everybody a sheet of 1/2 inch to try because we needed tape at every station anyway, so they were able to use this. What's nice about this is you can put this right over your card and then peel it off. It will never ruin your card. You never have to worry about it tearing the card at all. I mean, you know, here I am, and it comes right off. But it does hold very well. So I like using this to cover those small parts because it just kind of keeps everything away and you don't have to worry it's not going to stick to anything. Now for this little one, I tore a tiny little piece of this, but if you have the Masking Magic strips, the 1/4 inch ones, you can have a smaller one in here, and that does make it a little easier. I am going to take my scissors and just cut it on a little angle like that, just to get in there, and that just covers that stem. So I hope that makes sense. I'm just masking off all that mess that I don't want. It's beautiful, but I don't want it in this card. I just want to use these two parts. Okay, so now for my card, we're going to start once again with honey mustard, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to get a little bit heavy-handed in the center, a little bit lighter as we go out, and then we're going to do these two buds. Don't worry if you get color mixed in. It's not a big deal, okay? All right, so we're going to start with honey mustard, and again, I'm going to ink this up with honey mustard.
And you're holding that piece of cardstock down with just the tape runner, right? And that
Yes,
comes
just
off.
the tape runner, that little bit of tape runner that I put on the back. It's keeping it held down underneath. And I don't mind putting tape runner back there because I am going to tape that piece onto a black panel. So it's okay if it has something sticky on the back. All right, so now once again, heavy-handed in the center here. And then I'm going a little bit lighter as I work my way out onto the petals. Not quite as light as last time. I want to have a little more color in here, but it's looking pretty good. And if you want it darker, go ahead, ink it up some more and add more ink. These are your cards, so you can do them any way you want. You don't even have to do these colors. You know, I have to tell you that this particular flower done in red with all green leafery around it is a gorgeous Christmas card. It has almost a poinsettia feel to it, so you can use it for that too if you want. Do your own thing. These are just serving suggestions. That's what all I'm giving you. Okay, and now I'm going to do this one little bud here and this other little bud here. And you can see I got a lot of yellow into that green area, but that's okay. Now here is where the double stencil technique comes into play. I'm going to use my Fizzy stencil and I'm going to pop that right on top. I did not taking that other stencil off. That stencil is still here, but I'm popping the Fizzy stencil right on top. And then I'm getting a little bit more of my pixie tape or whatever tape you're using, and I'm taping that one down as well because I want that to stay secure and not move. Now it's a little harder to see, but what you want to do is you want to use your tomato soup and you want to go over everywhere that you see yellow. That's where you want to go over, because I know it's a little hard to see the flower, but we're going to do it. We're going to see it. Okay. All right. So we're going to just go over this with a nice heavy hand and then getting lighter as we go toward the outside. It doesn't matter if you miss certain areas or you don't get dots every single place. This will look good no matter what. I'm going to do a little in this bud here and a little in this bud here.
And just a reminder, this video will be available for later view.
Oh, absolutely. It will live on my YouTube channel as long as my YouTube channel is alive. It will stay on my YouTube channel. So if you came in late or you have to leave early, don't worry. You can finish it whenever. Okay, so now I'm going to peel off just that top layer. And you can see I've got a little bit of double stenciling in there. Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to fill in all my green areas. So I took that top stencil off. Now I'm going to go in with the fresh asparagus and I'm going to work in all the green areas. Don't worry if you got a little bit of dottage, dottage, it's a new word. If you got any dots in your leaves, that's okay. Don't worry. It's still going to look good. Coming in over here to fill this in. Same kind of thing like we did on that first card. We're just filling in anywhere that should be green.
We like to make up our own words here.
We definitely do. Especially Tom. If you watch our regular videos, Tom usually has a word of the day, and it's usually pretty funny. Not today, though, right?
I didn't expect to have to do a word of the day today.
No, we'll be back tomorrow for our regularly scheduled live, and you'll have a word of the day then. So I'm just filling in those green areas. Okay, so this should look pretty good. We've got the double stenciling on there. Now let's go ahead and take all of this off and see what's left behind. Oh, isn't that pretty? That's so pretty. That makes me so happy. Okay, now we're going to quickly, not really quickly, we are going to add a greeting once again. So I'm just going to pull this off. And I always say, like, wiggle it off. If it's really stuck down, just wiggle it off a little bit. I always like that tape back there just to secure it, but you do have to wiggle it off so you don't tear it. It also helps when you're working with your MISTI because it gives you a little bit of extra protection from the cardstock moving if you want to stamp it more than once. So from my original card, I did "You Mean the World to Me." I'm going to do that again down here. But if you're not sure what you want, you can just kind of lay the stamps up there and see what fits nicely, what you want. This "You Are My Sunshine" would be cute too because this is a very sunny card. But I will do "You Mean the World to Me." I'll keep my consistency. Oh, you're so sweet to ask about the super chat feature, Ingrid. I haven't decided yet if I really want to do that. I'm not sure if I want to do that. I'm still in the thinking stage, but I appreciate just mentioning it. I know that you're saying thank you, and I appreciate it very much. Okay. All right, so I've got the You Mean the World to Me here, and I am going to go with the black onyx ink once again. And again, I like to do more than one layer of ink and not really squish it out of shape. I think it's easier to go back and stamp it a couple times. That's why I like using the Misty, because it gets the ink nice and dark, but I don't have to put a lot of pressure. I can do 2 or 3 coats. And you'll notice all of our dye inks, all of the Gina K Designs dye inks dry very quickly. So, I mean, you know, that's all dry. You don't have to worry. It's not going to smear if you use our dye inks. Okay, there we go. Now it's time to assemble this card. So let me quickly clean that stamp. And this in here, I want you to know that normally when you buy the Misty, it comes with a black pad, solid black on both sides. This is a little add-on thing that I bought from My Sweet Petunia. It's called the Misty Mouse Pad. It's got a kind of a plasticky mat on it, so you can get sticky stuff on it. You can get ink on it. And I use a little bit of stamp cleaner or Goo Gone to get rid of any stickiness. And I use my stamp cleaner to clean off all the black, and I can make this look like new again. So that's why if you have a Misty, but yours doesn't look like this, that's why. Because I bought this little mouse pad. I think it was only like, I don't know, $8 or something, but it's really worth it. Could be a little less than that. Okay, so now we're going to get that black panel again. And again, if you're just joining me, these same panels can be cut using the Master Layouts 2 die set. If you're not great at cutting or you just don't want to deal with cutting these skinny layers, you can cut them with Master Layouts 2. Now this card, I used the Honey Mustard card base, and I have one of those ready to go from my kit. And I am going to attach this, and we will be good to go. Okay. And just like on that first card where we had those 3 pearls, I did 3 more here, and you can see where I placed them. That would go there, there, and there. All right, so that is card number 2. And you can almost see here, like in my original card, I had a little more green in the petals. I had a little bit of a lighter hand, but it doesn't matter. They always look pretty. And for my friends who have been with me for a while and you've watched some of my videos on doing those gift box sets of cards for people, and if you're new, I have a video recently on how to make a box of cards as a gift, including the box. I'll just give you a peek of that. That's this right here. I show you how to make that out of cardstock and how to make all the cards that go in it. These cards would be a beautiful option for making that particular project. They're easy to make, and they, you can make them in any colors you want, and it would be another beautiful way to create a gift. So I'm just cleaning my stencils once again, cleaning my workspace. And then I'm going to dry them with paper towel. Like I said before, you always want to make sure that you dry your stencils on both sides before you use them again on the cardstock, because that water will seep on the opposite side. Okay. All right, so now we are ready to do our final card, and that is this card here. So here we've also used the double stencil technique, but we've also masked off a lot of the rest of the stencil. We're only using this tiny little bit right here, okay? So I like to do that with Post-it notes just to get the bulk of it blocked off. And you can use as many as you want. And Post-it notes are reusable. So once you figure out, once you make this card, you could use these same Post-it notes on another one. And I'm even going to put one down here just in case. I know that's a little overkill. And then I'm going to get a piece of that Masking Magic again, the 1/4 inch.
Question for you.
Tear a little bit off and pop it in right here. Yes.
Okay, so your master dies, which 2 or 3 sets would you recommend for a starter?
I would say master layouts 1 and 2, definitely. And then I would say, look at the different elements in the other ones and see what's missing in your collection. Maybe you would like to start making window cards, or maybe you want to make square cards and go from there. But my top 2 choices are master layouts 1 and master layouts 2. We have like mini slimline, we have square cards, we have 5x7. So it becomes more of a choice. I'm just taping all of these down so that they don't flip around. So, and I'm just going to cut this off just because it's hanging and it's annoying. All right, so now we've got everything masked off except this one little thing. What do you put your tidy towel? Oh, I just throw mine in the washer. I have about 5 of them. And I don't think 5 is too many to have, because when I'm working a lot and one gets inky, I don't want to be running back and forth to the bathroom or the kitchen to clean this. So I have 5 of them, and then I just throw them in the washer with hot water and a little bit of Tide detergent, and just don't throw them in the dryer. They come out clean and they smell good. And yeah.
When you're using it, it just has water on it.
It just has water on it. Yep. Oh, was that the question? I'm sorry. I missed the question. Okay. Yep, just water. Now I'm going to get my final card here. Here is what we're going to be making. And I need my final piece of white cardstock. And I'm going to just put that tape on the back again and put that into place. Now with this one, it is a little harder to see, but I'm going to start over here. And actually, when I made my sample card, I really wanted this stem to kind of protrude off the side. So I'm going to start right here like this. See where the stem, you can see the craft cardstock coming in under the stem there. That's how I know it's like off of the cardstock. All right. And I am going to tape this down. Now, we're not done with Post-it notes yet, because we have to be very careful about up here and over here. You know, if you are ink blending, there's a good chance it's going to go over the edge no matter how careful you are. So back with the Post-it notes, we're going to just block this off. Post-it notes are like a staple in my craft room. I have to have them. I use them for so much. Okay, so there we go. Now, if you want, you can make a little mask that matches that. If you want, you know, to mask all of that off, I'm not that worried about it. I don't care if my colors bleed together a little bit. In fact, I think it's going to be very pretty, so I'm going to let it go. So I'm going to start with Plum Punch, and this is such a gorgeous color. Really a gorgeous color for fall and for Christmas. Just beautiful, deep plum color. No, I'm not going to start with this color. Sorry. Let's go back. I'm going to start with Honey Mustard. I'm going to go to Plum Punch next. Okay, so I'm going to start with Honey Mustard because I'm just going to do my petal area. These petals up here. Now, if you want, you can take a little Post-it note and just kind of block off this a little bit. If you feel like you don't want too much of this getting hit with color, you could block that off like that. It doesn't really matter, though. Honestly, I don't mind. I'll just show that to you what I mean. You could just do that. And then we're going to start with the Honey Mustard. And I'm going with kind of a heavy hand here, but not super heavy.
Okay,
Medium.
and how do they know the measurements for the pre-cut papers?
Well, I've already mentioned it at the beginning of the video, and I will also add it to the description of the video when I'm done. So you'll be able to go back, click on the description below, and you'll be able to find all the measurements for these cards. I'll add that. They're all the same. The measurements are all the same. And if you want, you can use master layouts too, and then you don't even have to worry about the measurements. But I will put them in the description. Okay, so now we've got our top petals. Now I'm going to lay the Harvest Flourish stencil on top. And I'm going to just tape it down. You don't have to tape it down, but you know, if you're new, you might want to tape it down because it is hard to hold and ink up things and, you know, go back if you need more ink. You don't want anything to shift. Now I'm using the same exact color. Now I'm going to go with a real heavy hand. Remember I talked to you about putting more pressure? I'm going to go with a real heavy hand over that same area to add that texture. This is just creating this Harvest Flourish pattern in that flower, but it's the same color. So it'll be more subtle, but it's going to be beautiful. All right, so I'm going to pull this off. You see that in there? Isn't that pretty? Okay, now I'm going to pull this Post-it note off. I'm going to just add a little bit in here so there's not that harsh line of demarcation. And then I'm going to go in with that Plum Punch, and I'm going to use my Post-it note again for down here, and I'm going to add Plum Punch right into here. I'm going to work that up into that flower. Okay. Now down here, I'm going to add my green. So I have fresh asparagus, and I'm going to add that into this area here. Okay, so now we have our first flower done. Let's pull that off and see what it looks like. Oh, isn't that pretty? Love it. Okay, so I'm going to take a paper towel here, and I'm just going to rub the excess color. I'm not using water because I don't want to have to redo all of this, but I'm just rubbing that excess color off. Okay. Now I'm going to position my second flower. So my second flower is going to come in down here. I want to get a little bit of green, and I can see where it's going to be. I can see right through the stencil. So once again, I'm just kind of placing that here like that.
And Plum Punch cardstock, that's still a question mark?
It is coming back. It should be back soon. It's being milled right now, so it is coming back. That was one that was discontinued by our mill, and we found a new mill. So, okay, so now we've got that flower in place. Again, we're using the Post-it notes to block all of this off. I know I don't need to put it over here, but I'm putting it over there anyway. It gets me in the habit of just taking care of anything that's around the outside. Now we're going to do the same exact thing. We're going to start with the honey mustard, and we're going to do those petals. This time I'm not putting the Post-it note there because I don't think it really made that much of a difference. Okay, we've got the petals. Now we're popping that Harvest Flourish stencil on top, and we're doing layer 2. Just where you see that yellow, we're going in with a heavy hand to drop that texture on top. Okay. Now we're pulling that off, and we've got that beautiful texture. Now we're adding this Post-it note to the green down here, right there. And now we're going to go in with some Plum Punch again on the bottom part of that flower, right in here. And we're going up into the petals just a tiny bit. And now we can pull this off, and we can fill in that little green leaf. There's not much greenery there, but I feel like that little pop of green is going to be necessary. I feel like I really need it to be in there.
Are small details important in card making?
I think they are. I think that little bit of green in there is just necessary. But again, that's me. Everybody has their own things that jazz them. Okay. So now we've got the second flower. All right. Once again, I'm cleaning this off with my paper towel just to get the bulk of it off. That'll just help me not, cross-contaminate too much purple into that honey mustard. Now we're going to add one up here so I can see where this is going to go. So I'm going to do it just like that. I don't want to overlap anything, but I can see those two petals underneath, so nothing's going to overlap. And then again, being very careful to block off any exposed areas that my brush might hit. I don't think I have to worry too much about this up here. I know I said that I like to do it. Maybe I'll do it anyway, just to stay consistent with my words. Okay. Now, once again, honey mustard. It's just a fun way to create a different look from a stencil that you would think is supposed to only be one way. What's beautiful about stencils is, yeah, you can use them the way they were designed and they'll look great. But by just taking a part of the stencil and masking it off and doing something like this, it just stretches those supplies and it gives you a whole second look. So then I'm going to add this on top to get the double stencil technique right over those same areas with a heavy hand. Okay. Then I can remove this stencil. And now I'm going to go in with the Plum Punch. And again, I'm going to block off this greenery down here with a Post-it note and add a little bit of Plum Punch to the bottom of this flower, working my way up into those petals. All right. Now we can pull off this Post-it note and finish up that greenery. I think I need a little bit more fresh asparagus on my brush. There we go. Maybe a little more. Okay. You can peel off all of these. There we go. Now, I feel like it needs one more thing up here, and I did in my first card too. You can see. So I'm going to add just a little bit of the flower up there, but I am going to clean this before I do that. Just rubbing the excess off. No water. Now, let's see where we can place this. We could even do it coming down this way if we want. Could do it that way. We could add it up here like this. Let's do it that way. I think that'll be pretty. Right like that. Okay. And again, we've got to protect this part of the card down here. Okay. Again, this will be the fourth time that you've watched this. But, sometimes it's good to watch things over and over again because maybe something you missed the first time. Just a little bit in there. Add the layering stencil on top, the little Harvest Flourish. Get it with a nice heavy hand in there. And now we can pull that off. Now I'm going to put this to cover that little greenery right there. And then go back to Plum Punch. Add that in there. So you can get beautiful ink blending with ink cubes. So if you have them and you're thinking, oh, I don't have what I need to do ink blending, you absolutely do. And then we'll get that little bit of greenery in there. There we go. So I think we have all of our flowers done now. Yep, we do. There it is. So now it's time to add our greeting. Let me move my blending brushes out of the way so I don't accidentally do anything I don't want to do. I'm cleaning as I go. I'm a messy crafter. My fingers are all plum punched. Okie dokie. Now, wiggle that off. And we'll put it in the MISTI. So in my sample card, I used "The world is a better place because of you." And I like that one too. But remember, you don't have to do any of these greetings. This is a great stamp set that you can use for other cards, but you can put whatever you want. Maybe you want to do these all in red and green and make these Christmas cards, or maybe you need birthday cards right now. I mean, you could pick other greetings from your stash and put those in place instead. And I do always like to stamp over the flowers a little bit. So I think I'm going to put it right there. Get some black. Okay, one more stamping. Okay. And we'll put that stamp away. I really like this particular one. I like the layout. I love the way the Harvest Flourish looks in those petals, especially because we used the same color, so it's very subtle compared to the dots, which is a little bit more vibrant because we used two separate colors. Now, that being said, if you like the more vibrant look, you could do that second layer of swirls, that Harvest Flourish, with the tomato soup and get a more vibrant look. Okay, so we're going to put this piece again on a black layer. If you're new to Gina K Designs, you will quickly learn that I put black on every one of my cards. And occasionally I don't, and then everybody starts asking me if I feel okay. It's just a thing of mine. And then I put this on fresh asparagus. So this way we have one card in each color, each of those main colors, except Plum Punch. All right, so now because we were able to get this done so quickly, I think I can put the sequins, I think I can put the pearls on these two so you can see where I put them. So let me get my Connect glue. I'm going to put one here, one down here, and one over here, kind of like that triangle around the greeting. And I'm going to do the same thing here. One up here, one over here, and then one down here. Burping the bottle, so it works every time. And then I'll grab some of these. I have mine all mixed together with my other ones. So I will put one of these here, one of these here, and I like that medium one. I like to do a medium-sized one there. And then we'll do this one the same way. We'll start at the top with a tiny, and then we'll do a tiny on one side over here. That fell in the right spot. We'll do that here. And then we'll do a medium one again. Let's find a medium one for down here. There we go. So we have completed all 3 cards from the Autumn Inspired Floral Stenciled Cards class. There we go. There's your look. Okay. Well, I hope you enjoyed this class, and I hope seeing it done step by step helps you accomplish all of this stenciling and double stenciling, and that you're able to create these cards too. If you have any questions, you can always leave them in the comments, and I'll get to them as soon as I can. And I just want to thank you all so much for being patient with me while I got this video up. I hope you enjoyed these. For my friends that didn't get in on this class, these products are available in our store a la carte. If anything's out of stock, you can always put your email on the notify me list. And then as soon as the product comes back in stock, you'll be the first one to get an email to know that it's available to purchase. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. Tom and I will be back tomorrow with another Stampin' Chat Live at noon, back to holiday card making. And then I'm going to see if I can get a Foil It Friday or a 5-minute card up this weekend. That's left to be seen, but I'll do my best. In the meantime, everybody, stay safe and healthy. We love you so very much, and we'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.